Okay, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the introductory webinar for the Digital Transformation and AI Playbook with Stanford Business Executive Education. We'll just be starting in a minute or two. We're just waiting for everybody to join. But in the meantime, let's do some housekeeping. So make sure that your mic is on mute and your cameras are off so that we don't get distracted by any background noise or movement. And please feel free to tell us where you're coming from and your name in the chat box. But if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please put them in the Q&A. It's easier for us to manage that way, and we make sure that we don't miss any questions. And yes, we'll just be waiting a few more seconds here, and then we'll get started. I see. Okay. All right, welcome everybody. We have somebody from Switzerland, very cool. I'm in Europe as well, so good evening. Houston, Romania, worldwide audience, that's awesome. Okay, so let's get started here. So I'll introduce briefly who I am and who do I have here with me today. My name is Jessica Cervi. I am a moderator for Emeritus today, and with me I have professors Yossi Feinberg and Jonathan Levav from Stanford. Those are the two minds that have helped us creating this course, and they will tell you more about the content and what went into creating this program, and they will also answer your questions. On the agenda for today, briefly, we'll talk about Stanford Graduate Business School, although it does not need a lot of introduction. The program faculty here will introduce themselves a little bit better, and we'll talk about the program overview, the learning objectives, key takeaways, and then the faculty here will dive deep a little bit into the program modules and the live sessions. And then towards the end, I will explain to you a little bit course expectations, the learning experience, the certificate. We'll do a recap. We'll tell you how to apply to this course, and then we'll do the Q&A at the end. Okay, so let's get started. So as I mentioned, the Stanford Business the school executive education does not need a lot of introduction, but it's famous worldwide for its world-renowned faculty, and it offers a variety of courses, over 100 short courses on certificate on how to on educate like managers and senior executives that want to enhance and upscale their leadership, learn more about like how the world is changing, digital transformation, etc., etc. And all of these programs are designed to engage leaders in a highly immersive, research-based academic experience that is led by the senior faculty at Stanford. I will pass it on now to Professor Feinberg here for his introduction.
Thank you, Jessica. So my name is Yossi Feinberg, and I'm an economist, actually a mathematician by training, turned an economist. But in the last 15, 20 years, my passion really has been about how do we use and leverage technology and take on the challenges of execution and organization and implementing that. So I've been mostly focused on entrepreneurship, building new businesses, but also how large organizations can unlock their potential and execute, especially nowadays with new technologies. So that's my passion. This is why I'm also very excited because working with Professor Jonathan Levav, who's going to introduce himself next, has been really extremely valuable in bringing the technology and the human component and the organization components together, which is what this course is really about. Jonathan.
Awesome. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Levav, and this picture is what I looked like about 15 years ago. So don't be alarmed. It's the same guy, just different different period of time. I think it's time for me to take a new one, although I like to live in the past. My research is on the psychology of decision making and judgment. And what interests me is the psychology that underlies people's decisions, consumer behavior, and in particular around this question of technology, of how the interaction with technology, in particular, I have a bunch of research on how the physical interaction with technology influences psychological processes. And so, but that's kind of on the research side. And on the practice side, I teach a course on launching new products and also advise a bunch of startups, and sort of became interested in the questions around sort of the psychology of digital and the psychology of AI in recent years, and got to team up with Yossi to put this course together for you. That's it.
That's awesome. Yes, and so you will be hearing, of course, from Professor Levav and Professor Feinberg throughout the course, but throughout the course, you'll also hear from some featured guest speakers. Now, we don't have all of them here today with us, and I'm not going to introduce them all, but throughout the duration of the course, you will hear from a variety of experts in digital transformation and AI. So a little bit on the program overview, so about what to expect from the course, so why you should be taking this course and why is this course important? Well, we are in a time where technology and digital transformation is changing more rapidly than anywhere and than at any time before. And so staying at pace with how the digital world is changing is of paramount importance if you want your business to succeed and to stay up to date with it. So this course on digital transformation teaches you a mix of technical knowledge, digital strategy frameworks, and leadership best practices to sort of like leverage all of these aspects. And it also uses real world application to enable you to harness digital technologies and lead with confidence and create measurable value. And you see a couple of important numbers here on this slide. So it is estimated that about 70% of new value created in the economy over the next decade will be based on digital enabled platform business models. And it is also estimated that 93% of business leaders are increasing their investment in technology, but integration is a leading challenge. So what are some of the key takeaways or program learning objectives that we have set at the beginning when this course was designed? Well, at the end of the program, you will be able to demystify the tech. So this means essentially being able to distinguish and they learn about the differences of all the digital technologies that we have these days, from AI to machine learning, Internet of Things, augmented reality, virtual reality. Those are all terms that we hear very often, but a lot of the times people don't know what is the difference between them. And so this course will help you with that. Next, you will learn about what role AI plays in transformation. So you will understand how AI and machine learning help in creating new models and AI agent that you can use to add value to your business model. You'll also learn how to leverage the tech, so how you can create business value through, like AI agents or machine learning models and other technologies that you're going to learn in the course. And then finally, you are going to learn how to develop your strategy. So what aspects go into shaping organizational culture and capabilities to achieve digital transformation. Who is this course for? So who should be taking this course? Well, this course is ideal for professionals and leaders that want to learn about digital transformation. They desire to build a strong digital culture in their enterprise or in their organization, to exceed customer expectations and achieve operational efficiency. It's also useful if you're interested into planning. So if you are curious about what aspects of your organization should implement AI and digital transformation, and how to do that. And then finally, if you are curious about exploring growth opportunities through digitization and aspiring to broaden your knowledge about machine learning and AI. And I'll pass it back to the faculty now, and they will introduce you to the program modules.
So maybe I can
Great.
start, Jonathan, and sort of give
Go for it.
sort of the overview and the logic of the program, and then we can alternate talking about the specific modules.
Sounds great.
So why did we build this program, and who is it for? Are closely connected. So when we looked what's out there, there's fantastic courses in technology, and there are great courses in organization and execution. But we wanted to create something that really connects the two. So basically, think about this as being, a race driver. You may not need to know exactly or how tires are manufactured or how specific engineering is done for different parts of the car, but you need to understand how it works and what it can and cannot do. And this is how we really approach the technology part here, which is without a lot of technology background or without background at all, how do we provide and deliver you with the understanding of what are the technologies, what are the emerging technologies, what are the foundational technologies, and then put all the effort into, okay, now that we understand that, how can you actually leverage those technologies and implement them? And the program is built with that in mind. So we actually start with the module that has a lot of the best practices of how to actually organize our thinking about digital driven innovation and challenges and opportunities around that. So the first module is really about how do we think about innovation? How do we think about digital transformation? And then we have modules that sort of cover the technologies, and they cover them in a way that we can then build the building blocks all the way to the end. And if we go to the next slide, we get at the end, after we cover all the technologies, our last module brings it all together back into execution. But throughout each module, it always has to be hands-on, applied, understandable, what the technology does and how it works. So you as a leader can then understand, okay, how do I race this car in the best way and win? So maybe we
And
can now
Yossi,
dive in. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add something to that. So basically, I think so. Another element that motivated this course for us is that um, many of the technologies that we've seen emerge in the last few years, um, rather, management had a set of tools. And in the last few years, all of a sudden, we have this new set of tools that's based in technology, and that's created a gap between what sort of the tools that managers use and the tools that are now available to them. And so one of the goals here is to get you conversant enough in these tools in order to be able to narrow that gap so you can um, leverage them for your business. So Yossi, should we do the modules one by one now?
Yeah, you want to start with the first module?
Yeah, so the goal of this program is to help you think about how to affect change in your organization, and in particular, how to use technology in order to affect that change. Okay, and so that's the idea of this digital transformation. Transformation is the change, digital is the tool. And so we start out by sort of giving you an overview of this concept and what are some of the benefits, what are some of the opportunities that the technology brings for you, the avenues of change that the technology avails for you. And so we kind of give you this overview here's the directions for change, and then each subsequent module sort of double clicks into those different avenues for change. And then, as Yossi said, in the end, we wrap it. So that's module one. Yossi, should I do module two and then you move to cloud?
No, go
Okay,
ahead.
go for
Yeah.
it. All right. So the all of these technological solutions are predicated on taking data and interpreting it. There's certain data that comes in as an input, and then the technology interprets those data and then gives you an output that then you use in your business. And so the very first place to start when we think about technology is not the software or the hardware or all the funky tools, all the magic, but is really go back and say, okay, this is a thing that takes information and interprets that information. That information is called data. Where is that information in your organization? How are you currently collecting it? What could you and should you collect in order to be able to then create new avenues, opportunities for your business through the use of technology. So that's why we start that quote unquote technical part of the program with data, thinking about the different areas of data in your organization and how you collect it. So that's the base modules 1 and 2. Yossi, you want to talk about cloud?
Yes. So, when we look at data, it's extremely important for any kind of initiative or output that you want to generate with your organization. So any new technology, and especially today with AI, that you can think about that you want it to execute and eventually create value for your organization, it's gonna crucially depend on, does it have the data, and then can it execute that technology? So that's why data is at the core of everything we do. So understanding data, and the next step of understanding data is understanding data analytics. So again, the objective is not a full course to make everyone here a data analyst, but you actually want to know enough about data analysis so you can ask the right question from a data analyst or ask AI the right question and figure out what are the challenges for data analytics to provide you with certain answers. So again, this makes this course unique in the sense that it's very applicable in the sense that when you think about what data can do for you, we want you to get the understanding again of what data can and cannot do, and then be able to judge what are the challenges when it comes to data analytics. We also have, a pretty big chunk of this module, the third module about cloud services. And, in general, understanding how cloud works is extremely important. It is now in the midst of the AI revolution where a lot of the workload, the inference is happening inside a data center, but it is all about basically uh, creating value for your organization or your application or your industry that happens when you actually leverage those emerging technologies. So understanding cloud and cloud services, even though it sort of seems like a more technical part, it actually conceptually really allows you to understand what does it mean to then implement applications and implement the technology, scale up the technology, and understand how it actually works when you prompt an AI tool or someone in your organization is building an agent to execute something in a system. Maybe I'll talk about the next one as well. And this is sort of module 4 is really where the more recent evolution of machine learning and artificial intelligence really is. And this is a module where we cover again foundationally understanding how the technology works. So we don't ask you to code or to basically build your own neural network or you know, that's not what it's about. But it's actually super important to understand what a neural network does and understanding its limitation and its capabilities. So again, starting from the building blocks, understanding what machine learning algorithms do and why they're successful in doing that is sort of module 4. And it really provides, as Jonathan said, and I love the way that he framed it, it gives you almost the language, right? And language comes with understanding what the words mean. So it gives you the language of this technology. And with the language of this technology, you can then, support your people, interact with people who are specialists, and do the connecting tissue between the technology and actually the value that it can create. But for that, sort of, we have this understanding of the technology. Jonathan,
Great.
back to you.
Yeah, sure, sir. So the next, so the modules 3 and 4, if you will, are the things that are virtual, that are software. And then in module 5, we start talking about things, physical things, and how you can digitally transform through physical things, and how those physical things interact with the virtual things. And so we consider sort of basics of automation, AR, VR, IoT, all those kind of buzzwords that you've heard about that are more built around hardware. And so what we do is we connect the things. Well, we think about the data kingdom and how the data goes, flows through these devices, and then how algorithms can analyze the data that are collected through those devices to be able to give you an output via the device in whatever form, whatever business that you're in. So we kind of give you an overview of that. And so that completes the technical portion, if you will, the part where we're trying to, as Yossi says, teach you the language, kind of make you conversant in what are the underlying elements of these technologies, and what are the underlying elements of these technology. There's a lot of technological applications, but those technological applications sit on top of some basic building blocks. And what we try to do in modules 3, 4, 5 is give you those basic building blocks so that as the applications change, you still understand what's going on. And you still understand also what are the potential applications that you can have. And then finally, Yossi's favorite part is actually module 6. Oh, sorry, Yossi just reminded me, in my rant, I left out no code, low code. The ability basically to program computers without knowing the language of coding. So we do also talk about software there. It's just I fixated a bit on the hardware. So Yossi, thanks for giving me a ping on that. And so the last module, module 6, is actually Yossi's favorite. Yossi, you want to talk about executing?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's all about executing, and this is where the framework and sort of our canvas comes together, which is okay. So the world is moving fast. With AI, you don't know what's going to be offered 3 months from now. You have a million and one possible initiatives. How do you actually go and start executing this when you have all these organizational challenges, right? People are afraid, people are resistant, people are not, and people are afraid of being replaced, especially with AI and what it can do. So this module is really about bringing that framework that helps you create structure and how do I address all these opportunities and challenges with a lot of practical examples. So here's how to think about the problem and the whole process of really looking at opportunities, looking at threats, analyzing what's the economic value, and then what's important in terms of figuring out the right technology, making sure that data is there for you to execute that value proposition. And then how do I execute it in the organization? How do I pick the initiatives that will take me on the trajectory of really transforming the organization for being this powerful and innovative organization that's successful.
And Yossi, actually, I want to reemphasize the importance of this module that you just explained, which is so the stat now I think is that what was it, 95% of generative AI projects in organizations fail? Was it something like that?
Yes, I mean,
Something
we
like
always joke, yeah, because
something like outrageously high.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so what it basically indicates to me is that the problem with these technologies are people problems, not technology problems. That you can know how this stuff works and do all the magic and do all like the hocus pocus, but at the end of the day, it's about getting people to actually implement it and use it. And so that's where the crux is. And so this last module that feels like, oh, it's this last thing. Oh, and all we have left to do is just to execute. All we have left to do is just execute is a big, big thing. And it's incredibly important. So I wanna like double exclamation mark module 6.
Great. And in addition to the modules, we have 3 live sessions, and maybe Jonathan and I can talk about the first one, and
Sure.
and you can talk about the
Sure.
second or the third.
Yeah.
So in the first session, it really is, look, we've built this course, you get all the technology foundation, but we realize that the world is changing extremely fast. The interesting part is that the technologies that have come up in the last basically 4 years, um, they're not dramatic changes from the foundations that of machine learning and so on, but there's a lot of new opportunities and technologies, innovations that are very relevant to execution. So what we're doing is we're adding this session that really talks about the latest development in AI and helps you sort of organize your thinking about the AI ecosystem. So understanding what's happening in the data center, what's happening in the foundational labs that create all those large language models for us, what's happening in the layer above that, like the agentic protocols, MCP, Model Context Protocol, what's happening in terms of applications. So having this ecosystem, this session is a live session and it's always up to date, for the last few days before the session. So content may change a little bit when we actually do this, but it really is about connecting sort of this language that you developed and understanding from that perspective, where is the AI ecosystem today? So we kept that as a live session. Jonathan.
Great. And yeah, I also see questions flying in the chat. We'll for sure get to Q&A in a little bit. So just for those of you who are writing, keep putting in your questions. We'll get to them. So so Yossi's session, the live session 1 is like, what's the latest and greatest? And remember, that sits on top of, first we learn the language, and then we learn the language, then learn how to put together sentences, and then applications to actual full writing is the analogy I would make. Session 2 is about people. So as I mentioned earlier, that crazy stat, there's AI is magic, but there's also a ton of headwinds. And a lot of those headwinds are headwinds that are about people and about psychology of people and about sort of barriers to people actually using it. And so that's what we address in live session 2. And we think about what are the barriers that are specific, in particular in that session, to the adoption of AI, and then what kind of prescriptions, behavioral science has to offer in order to be able to help you get around those barriers. Because it's great to have a really interesting potential implementation, but if people don't adopt it, then it just kind of gets left as a great idea that didn't have any influence. And so finally, in session 3, so the session 1 is Yossi is on his own. Session 2, I do on my own. And session 3, Yossi and I do it together, because both of us, we share the belief that the most interesting thing about digital transformation is the way in which it enables you to change the kind of value that your business generates, create a different kind of value exchange, and in that way to grow. And the way the value exchange is expressed in business speak is through the business model. And so what we do in that session is we think about what's our definition of a business model. We give you a framework around that. And we think about how AI in particular and technologies in general can be leveraged to create new business models. We practice it a little bit. We do some Q&A, and sort of with that, we sort of close the live session part of the program. Yossi, if you want to add anything to that, go for it.
Yeah, I think again, we are in unprecedented times. I think this is always the challenge. History sort of seems to repeat itself, but in a variation. And I think what we're seeing here with AI and the technologies that it unlocks, and as well as what's coming down the pipeline, it is really unusual in terms of the speed in which it's happening. And don't get me wrong, we are quite conservative. We don't, we think that certain things will take much longer than the people who, there's some hype for sure, and it's not negligible. But it is, even with that, something that has tremendous impact on industries and organizations. And a big part of it is because AI is so powerful when it comes to executing things that are, you know, are human tasks for the most part. So really, it's this session where we're saying, okay, that opens up a lot of threats and opportunities for organizations, for industries, and a lot of questions. And this is where we come in and really explore what will, what will be sort of a rethinking of the business models that are going to emerge, and with the idea that you can then apply it to your industry and your organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this very in-depth explanation of the content of the course. Very, very interesting. So let's move on to the last part of the webinar, where we talk a little bit about, like some key elements of the course and what to expect. So some feature course elements that you're gonna see and have in the course are obviously the capstone project. This is sort of like the crown jewel of the course, where you sort of like put together everything you've learned in the course and kind of demonstrate your understanding. You'll also have the opportunity to work on real world case studies. You'll work with the battle framework, very popular in the field, and you'll also have access to a digital transformation canvas. Regarding the learning experience, to keep things interesting throughout each week of the course, you'll have access to a variety of different, videos or activities, depending on the skill that we want to test. So you'll have live sessions with the faculty, as explained. You'll have access to the Stanford Graduate School of Business Proprietary Strategy Tools and Framework. We designed the course so that it is time manageable for individuals that have a full-time job and where life is busy. So we expect the weekly commitment to be around 4 to 6 hours. And it is a great opportunity to network with global peers. I see here today that we have people from all over the world, but even by taking the course, you'll have the opportunity to stay in touch with each other. As I mentioned, you'll have the case studies, knowledge checks. Those are essentially multiple choice quizzes format to, test a little bit more your granular knowledge. You'll have playbook assignments for you to apply the learning to your own role in the industry. And then, of course, you, upon passing the course successfully, you will receive the certificate of completion. The certificate of completion is a digital certificate that will, contain your name, the name of the course, the Stanford School of Business logo, and the Emeritus logo, attesting that you have completed the course successfully. And since it's digital, you can embed it easily on your LinkedIn profile or your resume to demonstrate that you have completed the course. So to recap, I don't think I have to repeat a lot of the concepts that were said this week, but the 6 weeks program will teach you how to advance and leverage digital transformation and machine learning and AI within your organization to drive business. You will develop in-demand strategic, analytical, and leadership capabilities to accelerate your impact. With the live sessions that are present, the curriculum will stay up to date as much as possible, but at the same time, we'll cover the important AI and machine learning foundations. You'll have access to real-world case studies and gain diverse perspective through guest speaker and peer interaction. And finally, you will complete your learning journey with the capstone project. On to the next steps before we move on to Q&A. We do offer at Emeritus, we do offer financing options for individuals or organizations. So we have group enrollment benefits, a flexible payment plan. We offer also employer sponsorship and referral benefits. And so if you are interested in enrolling for the course, you can visit the link here upon when we share the slides. And if you have also some further questions about the course specifically, and you really want to understand whether this course is for you or not, you can schedule a call with one of our advisors to have a private chat with them to clear your ideas up a little bit. And with that, I think that will open up the floor for questions. I think we have quite a few to go through. So I'll try and start from the chat, and then we'll go into the Q&A. Arnold, how current are the tools and methods? A challenge in other courses was keeping up with the fast pace of the change.
So maybe I can take that. Well, Newton method, as the name suggests, has been around for a long time. It's exactly what we're trying to do. We give you the foundations that really are timeless, right? And then we do in the live session, we make that connection to the latest things that are happening. So I'll give you a technology example. When you think about large language models and the fundamental innovations, recent innovations there, again, the one big innovation, it's a huge number of parameters, right? And it's trained on incredible amount of data. But the fundamental technology of how you encode that data and then how you decode that and the neural networks and how they work and what's the process of doing that is in the program, right? So we have those fundamentals. Now, there's things like attention, which has been a tool that was really took language models to the next level. And, this is something we do in the live session, which explains that. It's not difficult to understand it at all, especially after you sort of got the language of machine learning. And this is what we do. So that's basically why we feel this is a foundation that's timeless, but we do recognize that we need to fit this in. I'll maybe give another example because there's a relevant question in the Q&A on sort of how much hands-on are you gonna learn the technologies, right? And this is exactly what we wanted to find a fine balance. There's hands-on of learning to code. Let's look at data. Learning to code or learning to work with a database and query a database and all that. That's actually going to be pretty obsolete because you're going to use natural language to query your databases and execute. Just like vibe coding is a tool that, again, I don't recommend it as the tool to many, applications in deployment, but this idea that you can basically use natural language and then create code that does that. That's exactly what we didn't plan on doing. We didn't plan to teach you to code. We didn't plan to teach you to query a database. But we plan to teach you so you can go to your databases and really understand what's there and what's not there and what's really needed for any successful implementation of any innovation that you want to do in your organization that is, basically in data. Understanding that is important. Understanding if someone is telling you, I'm going to build an AI software tool, hey, you can tell them what you would worry about when it comes to actually implementing it successfully and getting the value out of it. That's the promise. And this is where it is really hands-on. So it's hands-on on the connection, not again of being the race driver who knows how to physically, make a tire in the factory. That's not what we're trying to do.
Thank you. And just because we have a lot of questions coming in, I will try to group a few of them. So I saw a few attendees in the chat asking about areas of application. I'm assuming here they're wondering what some of the case studies will be about. And following up on that, should they bring a specific business challenge to the course so they can work on throughout the different modules?
Yes, so the areas of application are broad. We don't focus on a specific area of application. The idea is to give you the fundamentals so that you can go into any area of application. And the place in which you can express that application in your context is through the project, right? And so we also give you a canvas, and the canvas is a generic canvas that can be applied in lots of different to lots of different projects. Again, with the idea being that we're teaching you the fundamentals that can apply across industries with examples from different industries, but not a specific focus on one specific type of technology only or one specific type of industry only.
Thank you. Could you share more? Could you share more about how participants can actively leverage Stanford's resources and network? I think here they're asking if maybe they have access to like alumni benefits or access to the libraries, things like that. I'm assuming the answer is no, but I don't know if one of you two knows more about that.
Sure. So you have access to all the materials that relate to this course, and sort of everything within the world of this course. But the course doesn't sort of provide you access to the alumni network or anything like that. The access to the alumni network is only through our degree granting programs.
Thank you. How much of this course will be focused on AI playbook versus digital transformation trends?
So it's AI is a form of technology. It's not and so the idea when we talk about digital transformation, AI is one form in which you can be digitally transformed, but there's also other forms, and so we cover a broad set of forms around digital transformation. And what we make sure to do is that we start with what your strategy is and sort of what your plan is for what you're going to change, and then give you a menu of technology that you can choose from in order to be able to maximize sort of your likelihood of success of your plan and then how you're going to execute it. So it's not an either or, it's an and.
Yes, they sort of like go together. Is the course designed for specific areas of applications, for example, regulatory affairs, setting up product documentation for registration purposes? Somebody else was saying also finance in the chat earlier. Again, I think more interested about like specific applications and case studies.
Yeah, so as Johnson said, the way we designed it is that we sort of have a theme of examples, but they're on purpose, really, really um, simple industries, if you want. And then we have a lot of use cases and examples that also come from people who've implemented them that are more sort of deep dive into a particular industry or a digitization initiative, right? If you think about Paul Pharma, this is a pharmaceutical company, and it's sort of you would think it's industry specific. However, when we build the program, actually Paul Pharma case applies to almost every industry, right? I mean, I teach this case at our execs that come to Stanford, to the Stanford Business School or the engineering school, and I teach that as an example of how does how do you think about digitization in the age of AI for, again, the finance industry? It really is very similar challenges. We want it to be applicable to almost, I would think, almost every possible industry that you can think about. And the way we do it is really by providing examples that everybody can see how they generalize to their industry, rather than focusing on a particular industry.
Thank you. How will the cohort interact throughout the course, and what opportunities are there for collaborations or continued engagement? Well, I think that the live sessions are an excellent way of encouraging that, isn't it? So,
Yeah, so in the live sessions, we actually have we have exercises where we send you out in groups to work with each other. So we try as much as we can to leverage when we're together to sort of get people sort of talking to each other, sort of within the limits of what we can do in an asynchronous or a largely asynchronous online program.
thank you. Read the capstone project. Please give color around that so we can prep on how to go about approaching a company. I would presume it's competitive, so as much info in advance would be great. Thank you. So more information about the capstone project and what to expect.
So I'm not sure what it means by competitive. Yossi, are you?
Yeah, I think it might be part of the challenge here, right? There's something. I do not encourage competition
Yeah.
between people. We encourage cooperation. So I didn't interpret it that way at all. Uh, I think the challenges that people bring in the capstone project is fundamentally maybe the most important part of the program, because it's the part where you take all this content, all this content, and you really apply the relevant parts to challenges or opportunities within your environment. And therefore, sort of, this is why we put so much emphasis on the design and execution of the capstone project. So that was our logic behind the emphasis on this. It is really important. It's like, we know it. Whatever we learn, it could be super interesting to listen to it until we actually try to do it and try to implement it. It doesn't really sink in and becomes a tool that we can use.
Yeah. It's like it's like if you're taking a class and the professor gives you a problem set. Except in this case, the problem set is specifically your business. So the outcome of the problem set is something that's very concrete, potentially to your day-to-day and value that you can add to your organization.
Thank you. What is your advice on the minimum versus the optimal dedication of time during the 6 week? And is there room for someone really eager to dedicate time to have more documents to work voluntarily?
Um, this is, there's the minimum is literally the number of hours that you need to spend going through the course. I would hope that if you enroll in this course, you're doing it not just to sort of get through it, but also to sort of think about and implement it. Um, I don't know what optimal really means, but hopefully optimal at least would be, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know, like the word optimal, for Yossi raises all kinds of red flags as an economist, but would be being able to get comfortable taking these concepts that you've learned and applying it in your business setting, sort of via the project, via the canvas. If you feel comfortable doing that, then you've spent enough time. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, maybe you need more time until you get to that point that it's comfortable. The idea of a course like this is not for what you're going to do next month, but it's what you're going to be able to have, tools that you're going to be able to apply in the next, years of working.
Thank you. And then I'll group two questions together. Somebody's asking about the time of the classes and also about the times of the live sessions. So the course is asynchronous. So meaning that all the pre-recorded videos and all the activities, you do them throughout the week at your own pace in the 4 to 6 hours that we estimated. About the live sessions, I am not sure if that has been decided, but maybe the professors know.
I think we usually do them pretty early in the morning because, we have people from all over the globe and and so it's trying to get so when people are in especially in Asia, Southeast Asia, making sure that it's if not the most reasonable hours, if not really the worst. So we do it pretty early Pacific Standard Time. That's usually what we do.
Yes, thank you. Um, there will be also no interactions with the professors beside the live classes. I'm not sure if they want to share their LinkedIn profile or anything like that, but this is not, there will be no other interactions outside of that. And then we have a pretty long message, so let me read it. Yes. Somebody is having an issue with payments. Please contact our program support about that, and they will help you solve the issue. And I think that is it for now. A few of you are asking about the recording and the slides. Those will be shared upon the end of this webinar with everybody that has registered. And for specific dates about when the next cohort will start, please contact, schedule a call with an advisor, or you can look at the website for when the next cohort will start. And I think that that's it for now. We answered most of these. The cohort size that we don't know. It really depends on on how many people register. Some people are asking that question. I have no idea. I don't think we put a cap on the cohort size. There is definitely
I
a
think
minimum. Oh, we do?
we've had as many as 30 or 40, and as many as 180 and as few as 40. It just depends on the time of the year.
Yeah, there is definitely a minimum, but I don't think that there is a maximum that we, but of course that changes as well, with the time of the year and I don't think we send an email notification for the next cohort, but, you can visit the Emeritus website to find more information about exactly when that next cohort starts. Yes, and I think that, we have about 5 minutes left. So are there any more comments or questions? All right, I guess we can start wrapping things up here for today. Okay. All right. So I will start by thanking, well, Professor Feinberg and Levav that were here today and that offered excellent overview of the course. It was very, very interesting to listen to. Of course, on behalf of Emeritus, thank you everybody for joining. We hope that you have found this session informative, and of course, we hope to see you in the next cohort. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you in class.
Bye-bye.
Bye.